Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me now is my Forbes colleague, staff writer Zach Everson. Zach, thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me back, Brittany.
Senior leaders from Trump Media and Technology Group, which we know is Truth Social's parent company, launched a new SPAC according to your reporting. So to kick off the conversation, can you explain what exactly the purpose of a SPAC is?
Sure, that is a blank check company. So essentially, it's just this shell company that opens up, launches, registers with the SEC, says, we're going to take investor money. We're going to buy something. We don't know what exactly. Here's some industries we might be looking at. We're not beholden to picking from them. Buy our stock. And then when we do go to merge with this company, you will own some of the subsequent merged company. So it's the same process that took Trump Media to market, which I think we recorded a dozen videos about because there were a lot of problems with that. But if people remember, that was where the SPAC company, the blank check company, was called Digital World Acquisition Corp, and it formed. People could buy stock in that, and then it merged with Trump Media.
And we are going to talk about that saga in just a second because you and I covered that for over 2 years. But before we get into that, who are these executives from Trump Media and Technology Group? You and I have talked about this company at length. Who are the executives? Any names that we know?
Yeah, the one that'll stand out the most would be Devin Nunes, the former Republican congressman who was a big Trump defender from California. He was chair of the Intel Committee, who resigned from Congress to become the CEO of Trump Media. He is going to be the chair of the board of this new company. The other names that are there may not be as familiar to other people, but they certainly are all over Trump Media's merger. Eric Swider is going to be the CEO of this new company, Retinus Tactical. He's a board member of Trump Media. He was actually also the CEO of Digital World, the shell company that merged with it. And then there's Alexander Cano. He's going to be the COO of the new company. He previously had been the president and secretary of the shell company that acquired Trump Media. So we have three people right there who were pretty senior in Trump. Well, two of them still with Trump Media in senior positions, and the other one formerly with the company.
You hinted at this at the beginning of the conversation, but talk to us about that really messy SPAC merger between Trump Media and Digital World. That saga lasted for over 2 years, so give us the highlight reel.
Yeah, it was a mess. A lot of issues going on there. The SEC charged a former Digital World board member and two other people with insider trading. The two other people pleaded guilty. The board member was found guilty. Digital World was forced to admit that 2 years worth of financial statements were unreliable and that it was also at risk of being delisted from NASDAQ for failing to file a mandatory report. Keep going. Digital World agreed to pay an $18 million fine to settle fraud charges for making misrepresentations in its filings. As I mentioned earlier, these SPACs are not allowed to have already had talks about which company they're going to merge with when they go public. And it turned out that Digital World and Trump Media had in fact had those conversations, so they paid an $18 million fine. And then after the merger was completed, there were still more issues where two Trump Media co-founders sued the company, saying that their stakes had been diluted. Trump Media countersued, saying these guys did terrible jobs. And then there's Trump Media was forced to change its auditors after the SEC charged its accountant, BF Borgers, with, quote, massive fraud involving 250 clients. The accounting firm there agreed to pay a $12 million fine and cease doing business. Not all of these are exactly Trump Media's fault, but it certainly is a long list of problems there for the flight.
That road to the SPAC merger doesn't seem like all rainbows and butterflies and sunshine. Not easy, not a seamless process, to say the least. So talk to us about what this SPAC will be doing.
Well, possibly having problems along the way to its merger, given the track record of those three. It is interesting that they got the band back together when the band the first time around had a lot of issues. But this time they are looking at investing in companies that are involved in crypto, in blockchain. In the registration statement, they specifically cite the regulatory environment that President Donald Trump has created. To make crypto appealing. They're also looking at working in the defense industry and in terms of data protection as well. So they're looking at three industries that are really have a lot to do with the government, either where the government could be a major client or sets a lot of regulations that oversees those industries.
As we know, the last time between Digital World and Trump Media, there were a lot of stumbles along the way. What is the process of a SPAC merger? Who oversees that? And what really needs to be done to ensure a seamless process?
Well, right now it's going to be the co-founders. It's kind of a quiet point until the co-founders figure out which company they want to merge with, and have a company that agrees. So it's going to take a little bit, I believe, for us to find out some more information there. But once it does go through, once they do have that information, inform the SEC, there are going to be federal agencies that take a look at it to make sure it does comply with existing laws. So you've got the Federal Trade Commission and the SEC are two that stand out there that will be reviewing this merger to make sure it follows through. And of course, those are two agencies that are run by appointees of Donald Trump.
Aside from acquiring companies that are either in the crypto space or the defense space, what else did you learn from this company's SEC filing?
Yeah, it hopes to raise $178 million, selling 17.5 million shares to the public at about $10 each. And then there's also going to be a private placement where people can buy warrants for $1 each. They're going to be 3.9 million of those that are going to be available. So, your opportunity to, there will be opportunities to invest in this if this is in fact, an investment vehicle you determined is in your best interest.
As we always talk because you were part of the Money in Politics team, the ethical lines here. And you mentioned before that these are Trump appointees overseeing this. These are senior leaders from Trump Media. Are there any ethical concerns being raised?
Concerns, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. You have three of the president's business partners working on a new venture that stands to make a lot of money for them if the government were to invest in certain sectors, or depending on the regulatory environment that it creates. You've also got FTC, DOJ, and SEC are all agencies that'll be looking at this merger and, could certainly put their thumb on the scale. Whether equal or not, I don't know. But it certainly is an area where the president is in a position to help some of his business partners.
Zach, I'm obviously thinking back on past conversations. You and I recently talked about Trump's oldest sons, Don Jr., as well as Eric Trump, getting themselves involved in the crypto space. Does President Trump have a more bullish outlook on cryptocurrency than past administrations, than President Biden even? I mean, what are his policies surrounding cryptocurrency?
Yeah, absolutely. He's talked about having a national reserve. He's talked about, the crypto industry wants regulation. They want to be made legitimate, but they want the regulations to be pretty lax. And he has spoken up in line with that. And, pro-crypto people were big backers of his campaign. Andreessen Horowitz, David Sachs, Elon Musk famously with $250 million. So these are all people who have big vested interest in wanting to see crypto succeed. And Trump has really done a 180 here from originally where he called crypto just a big scam to now that he's pushing it, which, maybe he realized it is a big scam, but it's just wants to get in on as well.
So the executives involved here, including Devin Nunes, that this SPAC wants to acquire something either in the defense space or the crypto space. We don't know much else. I imagine you are going to be looking at future SEC filings. What are you going to be looking for in them? What other information is going to be available?
I'm going to be looking to see if there are any more names that get attached to this project. If a Trump or somebody else were to be involved, that would certainly be interesting. Looking to see, most importantly, what company they merge with. Also see if they have any problems going forward. As we mentioned, that the previous SPAC had a lot of issues going forward. He's got a lot of issues before the merger went through. So we're going to see if, some of these mistakes repeat themselves with this one.
Well, Zach Everson, per usual, always appreciate your reporting. Thanks for joining me.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Brittany.